This was a poor game. My God, this game was poor. I don't even know where to start with this, but I'm actually gonna be producing a bit of a different match review today. I'm gonna talk briefly about the game, but there's some overarching points that I want to talk about, and I think now that we know who's won the Premier League title, Man City, congrats to them. I think that there's some very, poignant points we can make from both Liverpool and Man City's title challenges and just their general successes. And I think that, it really gives us an indication of where we're heading and what we need to do to get there. So don't worry, I'm not going to be focusing on this game for too long because there wasn't much to talk about. It was that poor. Now, starting with the lineup, and that was all Sarri could do. We've got players that are injured right now, players that aren't fully fit. Sarri was talking about the fact that players are still tired from the last game, a very intense game against Frankfurt. This was his only lineup, really. Now, I know there was a shout to see youth team players getting some minutes today, but Sarri wants to try and get third place. It's only natural, it's his first season. It's better to come third than fourth. So I could understand why he did that, but the fan side of me was a bit disappointed not to see any youth players getting any debuts or playing. Once the game ended, I was thinking to myself, this game today, really, we had to play this type of game. When you have an Eden Hazard that's in limbo right now, he's not sure if he wants to stay or leave. Playing in a game like this is only going to re-emphasize the point and remind him why I considered leaving in the first place. He has big ambitions. He wants to win. He wants a Ballon d'Or. He wants to win a Champions League. He's a big player. He deserves to have these things. Seeing some of the performances from some of these guys today, you're thinking, wow, Sarri in a way kind of performed a miracle. I looked at that game today. I looked at performances from Pedro, from Barkley, from Willian, from Alonso, Zappacosta. Hey, Zappacosta. He's going to just do what he does. It's very limited. It's very one-dimensional. It's eye-catching. We have to give him that. But if you really analyze this game and you see sense, a team game, every player that plays in the team plays a crucial part. So if you even have 2-3 changes, that's going to make a big difference. But still, it's been a whole season now. We haven't seen too much development. And I think Sarri kind of said it himself. What can he do? These players are stuck in their own characteristics and their instincts. They're not fresh like 19-year-olds or 20-year-olds or 18-year-olds. These guys are experienced, they've matured now. What can you really teach them? Their game's finished. Once you reach the top, it becomes just about how long you can stay there. Naturally, you're going to come down. I just think now, we're out of ideas. We've had the same forward lineup for how many years now? These guys have been there for a very long time. When you compare, the forward attacking options for other teams, even look at Liverpool's team. Their front three hasn't been around for years and years. I think it's like their second year or third year together. Look at Man City's as well. Arsenal, they've spent big money signing Lacazette and Aubameyang, and if they didn't have these guys, their season would be much worse than it currently is. But we haven't really strengthened in attacking areas for a long time now, and because of that, I think we've become very predictable. If you're a team coming up against us, of course, players have individual instructions to deal with certain players, but after a while, you just know someone's game inside out because you played against them so many times. How can a Willian or Pedro provide something new and provide that spark? They can't. And football at the top, it's a ruthless industry, it's a ruthless game. You have to make these big cutthroat decisions. Ideally, if you want your team competing every single year, you need a new squads every 3 to 4 seasons just to keep up with the demands of the league, just to, freshen things up to make yourselves harder to be defeated against tactically, all these types of things. But for me, they've done as much as they can. I think they've become bottlenecks with the system. Was this an example of Sarri ball today? No. Do I think that it should be used against Sarri? Definitely not, because he's in his foundation year here, bringing a completely new style. You have to understand this squad was tailor-made for, like mid-block tactics, where it's about keeping your shape, behind the midfield line, counter-attacking, etc., etc. It wasn't built for possession style, fast, pacey style of football. Now, that's all I can say about the game today. Ruben has some very bright moments as usual, but then most times, other players' quality was ruining every single attack he created. Hazard's going to be Hazard. He's going to be exciting. He's going to create something, but there really isn't much worth talking about. Instead, I'd like to talk about the league winners today and the title challengers, Man City, Liverpool. Congrats to them. 98 points for Man City, 97 for Liverpool. Crazy. If you're a Liverpool fan, it's the frustration too. It's been an epic season to lose one game as well. I'm not going to get into details with that. But they taught us a valuable lesson. Specialization in football is here to stay. It's not going. And when I mention specialization, I'm talking about they have every player in that team tailor-made for the system. If there's an injury, the backup players tailor-made to just carry on from where the first team player left off. Yeah, it's not the same quality, but still complements what they're trying to do. Now, to achieve this, it takes time. Football isn't FIFA or Football Manager. You can't sell 24 players and buy 24 new players all of a sudden. It doesn't work like that. They're human beings. It's about the relationships and the bond. And, football's more than just tactics. It's the human side. Managers, they manage the players, not just the tactics. There's other examples of specialization I could use. I could use Ajax as another one. So many. And this is the direction we need to go towards. If the best teams are going towards this direction, we need to match it. We can't create our own because we're not at that level just yet. And for me, this is why I thought Sarri was signed, because he has this unique style in the game. It's not super unique. It's really not super unique. The Napoli fans just called it Sarri ball because that's what we do as fans. We like to give names to things because, we feel more attached to it. But the ideas and the fundamentals of what Sarri is trying to achieve can't be done with this current squad. They don't have the pace. They don't have that intensity in the press. They don't have that instinct to win every single 50-50 and really get tight and stuck in there. You can't coach these things all the time. You can't. There's only so much you can do. And I think a perfect example of this was a great blurb from an article that was released, I think yesterday. It was based on Philippe Coutinho. And basically, it was talking about the fact that Jurgen Klopp was really surprised that Barca came in with such a big offer for Coutinho. Their first offer was 60 million. After that, it grew to 100 million. Once Neymar was sold, they spent the rest of the budget on Dembele and the other 140 million on Coutinho. And it's said that everyone at Liverpool, behind the scenes in the club, is celebrating, especially Klopp. And basically, Klopp said this. He said, when we do our fitness tests, where we test the intensity levels of the players pressing, for example, just to make it simpler to understand, Coutinho would score very low. And when the club scientists were involved, etc., the medical team, they realized that his body just isn't suited to this style of football. Now, Klopp realized with Coutinho and the team, one of the most prestigious players there at the time, it's very hard to just kick him out the team. These are some of the difficulties and the realities that, managers have to face. Now, Klopp tried to find workarounds to try and incorporate Coutinho in the team. I know a lot of you would think, if you have one of your best players, you have to adapt to them. But is it always correct in the grand scheme of things? Now, the issue with using Coutinho as a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1 was that Liverpool didn't have the same movement anymore, and their intensity in winning the ball higher up just wasn't the same. Now, when Coutinho came, it was like a godsend for them, because they used the investments from the sale to sign players specialised for what the team needs. Now, people were laughing at the money that they spent on Alisson and Van Dijk, but this is why specialisation is important. Instead of buying 4-6 players with the money made from Coutinho, you spend big on the exact players needed for the system, because it's going to improve how the system's played exponentially. When you have masters at what they do, you guys, we all play Football Manager, we see the different roles. It's not there just to be, fancy for the sake of it. It's how the game is. And I bring up this point because we have to analyse and look at our squad and really assess, okay, judging all the players individually, how they play, is this a squad really tailor-made to get the best out of each other? And it makes sense now why the club looked at managers like Mourinho and Conte, because they don't really have philosophies. Their tactics are based on reactive football. It's based on, stopping the opposition and having plans to counter them. And, the players in the squads have the attributes where they can play that style. But when you're moving on to a more philosophical approach in the game where you want an identity when you play, this squad just can't do it. And I don't think this is a massive L on Sarri. I think that the context of this season, it's been quite a successful one. He did everything I expected from him. But to move forward, the club have to realise that it's not about just signing anyone and everyone and who's a smart investment. It's about signing who's right and who's going to make the team players around him and system better. I'm hoping we learn from that because ideally, I'm feeling optimistic. This is why we signed Sarri in the first place. As Sarri said, I don't need to have 10 players in the transfer market. If I don't even get any, I'm happy with that. But if he wants a player, he wants one that's going to be beneficial for the team. I'm hoping that this is the direction we continue to grow in for next season, because otherwise, if we don't, we're going to get left behind. And this is how you become a Man United and you become an Arsenal. But you guys, that's my thoughts and opinions. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.